Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Call Time, a theater pod, where every role in theater matters. This is the space where we can talk about it all, where we can laugh, learn, and sometimes call out the chaos. So sign in on the sheet, cause it's call time. Today we are here for another Marquee Moment, which is where we take a show, a project, an artist, whatever, and we put a spotlight on it because it deserves to be on your radar. So take your seats, take a sip out of that very overpriced intermission cup that is really genuinely worth the investment because memories. Any other song would cause a copyright infringement. We're moving on. We are here today talking to the person behind the brand new musical that I am currently obsessed with the development of. We're talking about Como Correr. Hi, Nico.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Marisa. I'm happy
so
to be
good
here.
to see you.
It's good to see you too, old friend.
Old friend. Kindred spirits.
Kindred spirits. Hi, everybody. My name is Nico Raimont, pronouns he and her interchangeably, and I am the writer and creator of Como Correr, a hip-hop musical.
First things first, what is Como Correr?
Como Correr is, in short, is a rom-com about two queer Latino high schoolers falling in love during political revolution in 2016 in South Florida.
In short, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, it's a fun show. It's a fun pitch. Every time I give that pitch, people are like, "That's a lot of adjectives. What?"
I mean, good. You
Yeah.
need that. Those are
True,
words
mate.
and sentences. Who'd have thunk? Where did the creation for this show spark from?
Well, the show is semi-autobiographical in nature. It's like the first maybe 20 pages are like ripped from my life, and then it becomes fiction as it goes on. But when I was in undergrad, so this is like 2018, I had this brilliant theater teacher named Elena Maria Garcia. She would be an EGOT if she cared about any of that stuff. And it's true. And she was doing this solo show at the Adrian Arch Center, which is like the biggest performing house in Miami. Like all of the touring Broadway musicals come through the Arch Center. And it was called Fuacata, or A Latina Woman's Guide to Surviving the Universe. And it was just this like very funny, very moving, very vulnerable, cathartic 90-minute like monologue. And when I saw it, I was like, so Latin people can exist on stage and it doesn't have to just be a party. We can also talk about the like ugliness and the hypocritical stuff and the stuff that isn't as, fun to talk about as we can all the other wonderful things in our culture that are beautiful and worth celebrating. And that sort of like kicked up something in my brain. And then afterwards we went to dinner after the show and we were talking and she was like, yeah, you should be writing. Because at that point in my life, I was like on the actor track and the performer track. She was like, you should be writing, you should be creating, you should be doing something, because in this industry for Latin people, there's not really like a guaranteed set of roles. There's not really a guaranteed slot in the canon. So you kind of have to make that. And then so I remember we were at dinner and I just saw this kid in my brain and he was kind of like looking away from the camera in my proverbial mind's eye and like running towards something, and what that was I didn't know, and I was like, oh, we should probably maybe figure out what that kid is running from. And then the sort of idea of the show began, and as I continued to develop it, like the first thing I had was the title, Como Correr. I was like, there's something that's like really, maybe it's the alliteration, maybe it's the like internal rhyme, but there's listen, my mother was an English teacher. I'm a bitch for alliteration.
Yes.
And so like I'm like, I don't know what it is about that title, but it's very evocative to me. And as I just continued to develop it, it just became about, queerness and masculinity and our Latin culture and the beautiful things inside of it that are worth celebrating. And then the things that sort of worm its way like a parasite into it, like toxic masculinity and machismo and homophobia, stuff that's baked into the Spanish language. If you're a speaker, there are words that we say, like you would say brother or homegirl or girly pop or whatever, that are like shorthands for, or whose linguistic origin comes from like homophobic slurs. And so I was like, there's something in this that has always bothered me, and I think this musical is the avenue to explore it. And in that exploration is like a great deal of comedy, because Latin people are just very gregarious by nature.
The development of the show, as we have discussed and as I have seen, has gone through like such, I mean, like the creative process itself. It's like this. There's the highs, the mids, and the lows, but you have garnered such accomplishment within such a wonderful amount of time. And I don't say short and I don't say long, but it is a wonderful amount of time for this to truly grow.
It is neither of the two words.
And I think that's the perfect balance, though, because if you progress too quickly, then you could miss something. And if it takes too long of a time, you could lose steam. But you are in such a wonderful place with the production right now. But I want to talk about the development overall. I don't want to be like, let's go back to, tell me about your childhood. I don't want to go, back to the beginning. I don't want to go back to the beginning there. But like, of all the moments, I'm going to say, we can go on multiple tangents here, but is there a specific moment right now that has been your favorite part of the development journey?
Yeah. I mean, I think that moment was getting to go and be in residency at the O'Neill Center in Waterford, Connecticut. I know. And it was a really beautiful surprise. I was fresh out of undergrad. I had just moved to New York, Jersey City, and I had like sort of submitted this and that's no hate to Jersey City. Love to Jersey City. And I had just submitted it to the O'Neill on a whim. I was like, oh, Lin-Manuel Miranda have gone here. Jeremy O'Harris has gone here, whom I love, and both of them I love and respect. Like, why not? Fuck it. Who cares? I'm going to throw it in there. And by the grace of the universe and the grace of the judgment panel, I was a finalist for their National Musical Theater Conference. I know, 40 Pages in a Dream, and a song that doesn't exist in the show anymore.
Oh, damn.
I know. The development has been wonderful. And just going to the O'Neill and being in residency there for a week and like getting to work in the Lin-Manuel Miranda studio, which is inside of the Jim and Jane Henson building. And anyone who knows me knows I'm a Muppet freak. Just like getting to be in those spaces and like evoke those great artists' names while I'm trying to work was really, really grounding. And it made the sort of what can oftentimes feel banal struggle of like, oh, I gotta find this rhyme, but I already used this sound in the last song. Okay, if I'm rhyming pop, hop, stop, wop, God, this is stupid. Like that process, it made it feel like bigger than just I'm some kid writing a musical in my room. It made it feel like I was a part of a greater tradition. And something that is really beautiful about the O'Neill that I hadn't realized until I was there is that they have the Lin-Manuel Miranda studio, and they also have the Bobby Anderson and Kristen Lopez studio. And when I was shout out, and when I was there, I was like, yo, there's never any buildings in any institution that's not already centering Latin people. There's no institutions that are naming their spaces after Latin people. And the fact that the O'Neill has 3 writers honored in this way, and 2 writing teams, that was like, oh, I feel like I'm really, really in the place where I need to be right now. And the O'Neill, they just treat you so well. I just kept asking for, like, I don't know if you could hear the clown car that just went by my window. I really hope that was audible. That was so awesome. They just treated me so well there, and I just kept being like, can I get a key to the recording studio? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, can I get a key to the Lin-Manuel Miranda room in the Jim Henson building? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, can I get a key to the library where all of the previously developed scripts are kept so I can go and peruse the first draft of Teeth by Michael R. Jackson and Anna K. Jacobs? I know. And I was like, can I go see what that's about? And they were like, yeah, here, go whenever you want. I was like, I'm the kid in a candy store. It's just like it's such a beautiful, like effervescent experience for sure.
Oh my God, I'd be sobbing every day, I think, just in pure awe.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely.
What a validating experience that must have been as well.
Yeah.
Just having anybody take a chance on you really in this industry is you don't look a gift horse in the mouth there. And that is, I love that you got to experience that so soon and really take that with you and bring it with you into the rest of the development. With the rest of the journey, though, has there been anything that like really surprised you? Like anything that came up sooner than expected, or just opportunities that came up that you went, me?
I think the thing that has been most surprising is just the fact that at this point in the development, like this past week, literally a week ago to the day that we're recording, I finished a draft of the play, the first ever completed draft, front to back, beginning and end of play, which it's taken me a very long time to do so, but the show has been just sort of like, you know, what's the thing, having like a blade and carving through the forest, that's kind of been trying to make this show work. And the fact that we did this table read and the show has developed such a community around it with the incredible that continues to say yes at every stage and continues to come back, from the people who are like really, really plot focused characters to the people who are just like playing my friend Josh plays what I have called the chaos track, because he just gets all of the most like insane jokes and just the stuff that you would never say to a person in real life. I'm like, yeah, Josh will make it land.
Perfect.
And like, yeah. And like dream track, and just like those from our wonderful casting director Gregory Jafari Van Acker to our music director Saul Nashe and our like producer Wiley Housem, just these people who just continue to come back to the material. That has been the biggest surprise to me, because I still feel very connected to the writer who was really, really unhappy in undergrad and using this as an outlet to try to get some form of creative expression going and get some sort of momentum going in the fact that I can have agency over this career and over my place in this art form. And so the fact that now, you know, those characters who I was like, oh, we're going to have the principal of the high school be this really kooky Asian woman, and she's going to say all these terribly offensive things, but you're going to like her and she's going to be your favorite character because she's so goddamn funny. And now, like, that's a real actress who has invested multiple rounds of development in this show, and she's hilarious, and she's coming up with her own horrendous things to say. And she's like, oh, what if the principal did this? And then, oh, in this moment, what if she did this? And just like the fact that people are like continuing to be excited the material, it's not surprising in that like, oh my God, I can't believe people like it. It just feels like a blessing in a way that I underestimated how much it would just fill my heart.
I love that so much. And it's just from the way you're speaking about your collaborators and your cast, it just also feels like you've created such a wonderful space for people to really feel their authentic selves and express themselves through your work and contributing. And I think that's my favorite part about the collaboration process, is just the unexpected blessings that come from that. But I really would love, speaking of which, let's talk about some of your collaborators and your cast.
Happy to.
I really just want you to gush about them, because I want people to understand how insanely talented everybody is as a part of this, and just go off.
Okay, where do I begin? Hold on, I need to pull up a photo. Make sure everyone is fucking accounted for.
Of course.
And you can cut this dead air out.
No.
No, we're keeping it in. The
Raw
episode's
authenticity, Nico.
So I think I'll start with the creative team. So someone who's been really, really key in the exponential development of this musical is my music director, Saul Nache, who is a Mexican, non-binary, gay AF, as they put it in their bio, music director. And they have become an instrumental part of this team and an instrumental part of my life, truly, in their talent and the way that they bring themselves into every room. They're just so motivated by decolonization practices and centering empathy and understanding that everybody learns music differently, which has been a huge, not necessarily lesson, but huge reminder for me. And they both have taken my music and especially the vocal arrangements to just an entirely new level. They have this sense of harmony and like finding where people's voices like really, really land. That is just like, I just can't wrap my brain around it. There are these harmonies in these big like ensemble moments in the second act that just make my brain explode. And I'm like, I didn't write this. This feels like another thing came in and decided this is where the song is now. And that thing is the gorgeous and effervescent Saul. And we have this one performer who's been with the show in its professional development for the longest. His name is Danny Borba. He is this like hysterical Mexican-Argentinian American actor. And he plays the main character of the musical is this kid named Tomi. And Tomi is surrounded by a pretty discouraging community that doesn't believe in him or his goals or his dreams, but he has a few key friends that keep him grounded, and Danny plays one of those friends. This friend's name is Verguez, and Verguez is kind of the Cartman of the group, and Danny just finds this way of making this, I wouldn't say he's evil like Cartman is, but he has that sort of like middle school boy sensibility, even though he's like a high school senior. And he has this way of making all of these jokes not only land, but you kind of fall in love with the way that he plays it, because it's very clear that Verguez feels a deep sense of love for Tomi and the rest of the friend group, and while also being a fucking asshole, being excruciatingly annoying. And then there's this woman named Rebecca Larkin Green who plays the aforementioned principal, the principal is a capitalist psychopath and I don't think she's necessarily an evil person, but she is an ignorant one. And that ignorant side is the thing that kind of drives her thinking. Mm-hmm. And Rebecca has this way, she's just a cartoon character. And so when she steps into the part, you're like, oh yes, this musical's not grounded in reality. This is actually just a cartoon on stage, like most of my favorite musicals are. And I'm gonna speed run through some of the other folks. I'm just gonna rapid fire. We have a new director who's just joined us, who's this brilliant Broadway performer and director named Matias de la Flor, who I have known since I was in high school, and he has hopped on to direct after knocking on that door for many years. He's just like, I'm your director. Let me direct it. Please let me direct it. And I'm like, no, you're not right. You're not ready. And I stand by all those decisions, but I think we both reached a place in our life and careers where I think we're both ready to begin a new collaboration, because we collaborate on several other things. Josh is excellent in his chaos track, and he has the voice of an angel. We have a new company member who's joined us recently. His name is TJ Barry. He plays one of Tomi's friends, whose name is Scruntle, and he's the only actor who's ever made that character work. And he's made me work harder at making the character funnier and giving him more of a presence, because I'm like, I can't have this hilarious guy who raps his ass off just sitting here. I need to give him more things to do. Amazing. And then there are so many people. There's so many beautiful people. And then Evan Michael Smith is another beautiful black non-binary goddess who plays one of the teachers in the show, whose name is Miss Robinson, who's based on a teacher I had in middle school who was this like goth contrarian queen who pretended like she hated you, but she had this deep sense of care for all of her students. And Evan does it masterfully and is like one of the most talented people I know, and is always constantly working. I'm sure you've probably seen them on stage. And then, okay, the last person I will say, I'm going to feel so bad, but I think we got everyone, is this person who has joined our cast very recently, but has sort of feels like someone who is going to be a forever collaborator, if I have anything to say about it. Is this woman named Sara Ornelas, who is this incredible, like, just powerhouse of a woman. She's got this incredible voice, and she plays a dual role of Tomi's mom and Camilo's mom. And I haven't spoken about Camilo, but Camilo is the central love interest in the show. And she plays both of their moms, and they're both very different. Tomi's mom is this kind of like helicopter mom and who cares a lot but doesn't necessarily know how to connect to her child, and Camilo's mom is very sort of detached and doesn't feel like she needs to connect with her child because she gave birth and that's enough. And the way that she navigates both of those relationships is crazy, and she's just always asking the best questions in the room and questions that make me go, oh man, I gotta flesh out these moms. Shit. And Tomi's mom gets this kick-ass 11 o'clock number called Do What You Got. And it's like, you know, in a Latin musical, you think, oh, the mom's gonna get this like ballad. She gets this like crazy, like hard rock, borderline metal number because Sara can sing it. And it's just like, she just knocked it out of the park when we did the developmental recording last year, and it's just incredible. And I'm just like, I just want to continue working with Sara because she gets my brain. And that's the thing. And that's the thing that's been the great gift about this show, is that this show, whether it's by working on someone else on another project, or someone else knew this person and recommended them, or I saw this person in something and I went, hey, I think you should be in this show. Like, this show is your brain on Nico. And so, like, if you step into it or if you watch it, it's like, this is what it feels like to be inside of my brain and my heart for like 2 hours. Mm-hmm. And like, the people who really understand that are people who I just want to work with forever, because there's just such a style. And I feel like a lot of musical theater writers probably say this same thing, and playwrights say the same thing, but like, you find people who understand what you do and how you do it, and you're like, okay, I'm just going to continue giving you work to do, because my words and my music make sense when they're coming out of your mouth and your body, and you also feel like you're connecting to yourself when you are embodying my words and my music. It's not like it needs to be a mutual exchange for me for it to work.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more, and I think I'm reiterating, I could say this a million times, but like, it's so beautiful when it just clicks. When you have that, it's cliche, but it's like, it is magic. It is absolute magic when you are able to find people who not only understand your vision, but they see it with you, like, truly, and they're able to give and receive. And
I'm sorry if I forgot anyone. Sorry if I forgot anyone.
We're just gonna do a big old scroll right now with everybody's names,
credits,
and now you're included. We love you. We appreciate all of you for all that you're doing. And so, obviously, I love hearing you gush about your cast, your creative team. The show itself. We had talked about this before, about like, you know, the plot of the show, the themes that are surrounding it. And other people, I feel like they would focus on I don't want to say the buzzword components, the things that, you know, but you make it bigger than that. And with that, I want to know, what is it about the show specifically, about Como Correr, that gives you joy to take, and that balances out the other stressful buzz components of what the plot portrays?
Definitely. And I appreciate you saying that, because it's really true. And I think it's one of the things that has sort of been the stop and start component of the development of the show, is the negative buzzword stuff that you can attach to it, because it is a political show, and unabashedly so. Like, it's not one of those musicals where you can, probably not going to be a junior version of Como Correr.
Oh man.
And I feel you. And if MTI is listening, I'm open to the conversation. But the things that make me really proud of the show and make me really happy is the way that Latin queerness and Latin masculinity is being explored and also like centered. When I saw Hamilton for the first time, the number that really knocked me out was The Story of Tonight, because it's just these like black and brown dudes being vulnerable with each other and like talking about their hopes and their dreams and being really optimistic about the future. And that, like, I remember just sobbing in the Broward Center of South Florida. And that was like the thing that I really walked away with, is that there's just this moment of vulnerability in a show that is overwhelmingly masculine. Overwhelmingly masculine. There's this beautiful moment of male vulnerability. And that's not really something that I have seen, especially when it comes to Latin work and Latin media, just like men being vulnerable with each other, because this is not something that happens in our culture. And so it's been really important to me to center that, to center these two young men who are falling in love with each other. And it's not perfect, and parts of it are really awkward, and oh, I said this thing and God, I'm such an idiot. But actually, you're not an idiot. You're just being vulnerable and trying to find how you express yourself. And like, that is so real to me. And I still feel that way. I still feel very connected to that 17-year-old kid who was like, you know, mumbling over himself and falling over his words. And there are moments in the show where, you know, our two romantic leads, Tomi and Camilo, are speaking to each other, whether it's they have their like first love duet, or they're having their first intimate moment, which is how we open the second act, and or they're having their inevitable rom-com breakup. There are these moments that I'm specifically writing in Spanish for a Spanish-speaking audience to reach that kid and tell them like, hey, this is okay, and to be vulnerable is a necessary exercise. And it's important to me that that reaches a Spanish-speaking audience, because not only are Spanish-speaking audiences and Latino audiences in general, whether you speak Spanish or not invited to the theater, point blank period, but like there is a different thing when you are an immigrant in this country and something on TV or something at the movies, or you go to a concert and it's directly like grabbing you in your mother tongue. It's a different thing than like watching it and then reading the Spanish subtitles. It's a different thing. And like, that's the audience that I want to center, because like, to me, this is a piece of art, and that's a beautiful thing, and it's a musical, and the songs are slapping, and I'm putting my foot into these orchestrations and to these beats and these raps and these melodies. But like, it's also, there is a kind of activism that I'm putting into the show in this intentionality that like humbles me every time we get into a room with this cast to do it. And like, you can hear, we did this development, this private reading on last Tuesday, and we had this new actor step into the role of Camilo, this wonderful Latina actor named Ishmael Gonzalez, and they were reading for Camilo, and we reached this breakup duet in the middle of the second act that is only in Spanish. And they were like, it's really beautiful that that moment is in Spanish. It just, the language, it just like knocks you out. And I'm like, oh, great, that's what I wanted to do. There's an intentionality in centering like my community that at this point in, going back to the buzzword thing, at this point in America is radical. And that's not why I'm doing it, but it is a part of it.
And I am truly so incredibly moved by this journey and by this story, which is one of the reasons that I had reached out to talk to you about this, because I was like, I don't even want to use the word refreshing, because that's not really what I'm trying to say. It's not really what I'm trying to say here. You're making the moves to make this look like it's not impossible to achieve this in theater, in the theater canon, you know?
Yeah.
Creating this space for reflection, representation. See, like I'm gonna cry, because like I am a sap. I am a sentimental person, and just being able to see real, authentic. See, I sound so basic when I say this, because I'm like, this is a real, authentic story, and this is real. These are the real things I want to see when I see new work, especially when it has something that has such heart. And such, you are so much better at explaining how great this is than I am, which is why I love having you here. And before I try to articulate any further, and I will literally only figure out what to say after we wrap, because I know myself. I would love for you to now take a moment, stare down the camera, and manifest the future of Como Correr.
Como Correr is going to be adapted into an animated movie. That's always been the long-term goal. After seeing the success of K-pop Demon Hunters, I'm like, this is a possibility. It's not a live action thing. This is going to be an animated movie. Please hit me in my DM, whoever is listening, who knows any animator, any animation studio. Even if you just like animation and think it's a good idea, hit me on the DM, because that's the future that I want. I want this to be adapted into an animated movie, because that's where I think the story's really, really going to shine and break through.
I want this so bad. I want this so badly now. Oh my God, that is so, yes. I'm double down on that. Like I can already think, I'm looking at the camera. You know who you are. I'm thinking of 3 people in particular.
Oh, snap.
We're all going to do lunch. It'll be great. I want this to happen for you. I want all the success, everything
Thank you.
to come for you and for Como Correr and your team. And so speaking of, though, in terms of hitting you up in DMs and whatnot, where can people find you? How can people keep up with the development and shenanigans over at Como Correr?
You can find Como Correr at Como Correr Musical on TikTok and on Instagram. And then you can find me at Nico Raimont, NicoRaimont, on only Instagram.
I will make sure to have all of that information is going to be on screen and in the description box below. Nico, I am so happy to have had you here today to talk about this. I'm already thinking about this like maybe twice a day, but
Very sweet. Very sweet.
I'm really, really excited to keep up with everything that's going to be happening with Como Correr, and I'm excited to see the next part of the development. And I'm just really glad. Thanks for being here. Thanks for all that you do and who you are.
Oh, thank you very much. It's been such a blast to talk to you about the show. It's been a really pleasure.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And I want to thank all of you out there for tuning in and signing in on the call sheet for another marquee moment on Call Time at Theater Pod. My name is Marisa Helene Mast. You are the audience. Bye-bye now.
Peace.
2016 senior year, baby, we on one. Hit the shoulder lean, dance with your hands out, they got guns.
Primos get discarded or deported almost every day. We got our puto coming for our next. His name is Donald J.
Fuck that. All my brothers get chucked back and they stay at the end of the line.
Cut that.
Get up and mutt that.
But if it hits you every time with money owing, sunlight streaming, babies crying, constant scheming,
Bullets flying, awful timing, show me where the civil
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I feel it's fine. It's my fault. I just brought more attention. No, it's fine. It's not. I'm Camilo.
Russo. Tomi Russo. Not to be confused with Bond. James Bond, is he British?
Claims aren't absurd. After years stuck in the dirt, I am flowering from the earth. Flowering from the earth. Because I met you.
Every day this empty life is chipping at the canvas, Latin Hamlet trapped in transit. Let's make some Hispanic magic, yo!